God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good.
Hello, everybody. We're going to go ahead and walk through Genesis. I'd like to thank the announcer guy that read that for us. His voice is way better than mine, so I chose to use him to read Genesis for us. And that was Genesis chapter 1, which is verse 1 through 18. And my last video was on the fake rapture. And in order for you to have eyes to see if you don't, and ears to hear, I believe you need to understand the beginning before you can understand the end. So we're going to take my little literal stick here, and we're going to go over to my notes. I'm going to walk you through Genesis, the beginning of Genesis, and explain a few things, how God had said them in the Bible, and not the way that man or Satan has intended for everyone to hear. So give me just a second, walk over to the notes, and we'll get started. I have to kind of take a look here what I've got going on. The only spot big enough was my floor, so I had to kind of put it on the floor and do all my notes. So we're going to go ahead and start here at chapter 1, verse 3. And I can tell you, as a child growing up in church, I was a grandfather who was a pastor, family who traveled, sang, and preached. The first thing I remember in church right here is my pointer stick, like I told you. Verse 3. And it says that God said, "Let there be light." Well, when we're children, the first thing we assume, and when we're taught, was that when God said, "Let there be light," we assumed that the greater light was made. The sun, the so-called sun, man-made word. You know, so that's kind of what we start off learning in church and Sunday school, being taught that. So, unfortunately, that's wrong. Okay, you go to verse 5, and it says, God called the light day, okay, darkness night. Still, okay, no light's created here. All right, if you go through Genesis, you know, count by verse, it explains this in detail. All right, so you come over to verse 8, it says, and God called the firmament heaven. Okay, now if you read in Genesis and you go through, he talks about separating the firmament from the firmament and putting firmament above and below. And he calls states this. Unfortunately, it's not what NASA has told everybody. All right? Above the earth is the firmament, which is water. Moving on, verse 14. God said, let there be lights in the firmament. In the firmament of the water of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for seasons, for days and years. Still has not created the larger light and the lesser light. Okay? What do you think man has made you believe? Where does it say that God created, like Mars, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, etc., all the other planets? He hasn't even made the stars and the two greater lights yet, but he has put lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day and the night. Okay? Doesn't mean that there are planets out there, other planets. The Bible doesn't state that there are other planets. It states that there are lights in the firmament. Okay? Moving on. All right. 15. And let there be lights. Okay? 4 lights. All right? Let them be for lights. Them. Let them be for lights. Speaking of verse 14, the lights over here that he's placing in the firmament. All right? Let them be for lights, which are the lights. Pretty straightforward. All right? And it says, let them be for lights in. Once again, there's that word in. In the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And still, he has not created the 2 lights. Okay? For day and night yet. Moving on over to verse 16. And God made 2 great lights. Here's now where he creates them. The greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So here he's created the stars. Up here he created the lights in verse 14 and put them in the firmament to let them be for lights upon the earth. And then here in verse 16, he creates the 2 great lights, the greater light, which is our daytime light, and the lesser light, which is the nighttime light. And then he created the stars also. All right. Keep in mind that the sun and the moon and stars were just created after all the other stuff we talked about was. All right. Which takes us back to verse 3. He says, when God said, let there be light, he didn't mean the greater light, the so-called sun. And God set them, verse 17, and it says, and God set them in, there's that word in again, in the firmament. All right, them referring to the 2 great lights and the stars, also in the firmament. So, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. All right, so here's what I'm kind of getting at here. So if, how's the sun 93 million miles away? Or the moon, and those are man-made names, 238,900 miles away. If God said, he put them in the firmament right above the earth. Kind of told that one around for a little bit. Oh, wait. False teachings from Satan since the beginning to make people believe something that's not real. All right, move on to verse 18. And to rule over the day and to rule over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. That this was good. That this was good. All right? So it was to rule over the day and rule over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. From the beginning, when he said, let there be light. So after he input all the things that he created, and he gets right over to here, that's when he states what the 2 great lights are going to be for. And all of that happened in day 4. So here's my question to you folks out there. That if the firmament is where everything is placed, and the firmament is called heaven, at least that's what the Bible says, that God called the firmament. He called it heaven above. I'm trying to figure out how we got to get these probes to other planets, how we do all these things when there's no planets stated that they were made. They were stated as being lights in the firmament, not planets. So I'm just going to go ahead and go there, that no one person can go above the firmament unless you're on your way to heaven. All right? No one has been to so-called outer space. It's not possible. It's all satanic lies. Okay? I mean, in order to get people to believe that there are other planets and other galaxies is pretty easy when you've been taught since the beginning. Okay? So you can make people believe that there are other planets out there and possible life out there. You can make people believe that there is possibly other life forms out there on these other planets and galaxies that aren't stated in the Bible. Then if you can get people to believe that, you can get people to believe that God is not real. Well, God can't be real. I mean, these are aliens. These are other life forms coming from all these other planets and galaxies. That's not spoke about in the Bible. God can't be real. So to kind of understand the end for the deception, for the fake rapture, we need to start at the beginning, because everyone has been fed lies since the beginning. So it's a wonder why a lot of brethren are having a hard time understanding what is going on. Thank you guys, and God bless.